What's going on, Tar Pit crew? Welcome back to another episode of the Tar Pit Podcast. You already know what it is, your go-to spot for all things Carolina football. And unfortunately, Carolina drops another one, finishing the season 4-8, the worst record, I should say, since 2018, which was under Larry Fedora when they went 2-9. This was the fifth straight loss to NC State by a score of 42-19. First year under Belichick, Carolina goes and loses to Wake Forest, Duke, and NC State. All three of us were in attendance. I've actually had a couple of people. You could say they're burners, trolls, whatever they are. That's fine. They do their thing. Hop under my post. The picture I took while I was there. How was your time? Hope you had a good time. Which they're being sarcastic or things like that. And I genuinely responded to one finally today for the first time today. And I said, other than the massive L, had a great time like I usually do in Raleigh. Had some pregame tacos. Halftime had an amazing sausage dog and washed them all down with 2 Michelob Ultras. I sat with Troy. Trevor sat with his wife and some friends that are NC State fans. Boys, get in here. How we doing tonight? How was your time in Raleigh? One of you.
I was waiting to see if Troy wanted to go first. Man, my time in the stadium wasn't
like you had a more eventful time in Raleigh, buddy.
Yeah, my time in the stadium wasn't. I was expecting a little worse atmosphere, I guess you would say, in terms of how I would get treated because of prior experiences. But it wasn't bad, to be real with you. We had a little altercation at one point, but it wasn't nothing too crazy. The after post game, you guys, like I told you, I ended up back home from Cary this morning at 5 a.m. after a tire blew, and then had to go back up there today. So it was an eventful day. Maybe my sign to stay out of Raleigh. Maybe I shouldn't have went altogether. But other than that, it was the tacos were the best part, I'd say. Chris, you took me over to the taco spot. I think that was the best part of the whole time. But man, if you would have told me going into this point, this is how the year was going to end, I would have said you were crazy. I looked earlier, boys, and we were there. There's 11 ACC teams with 7+ wins this year. If you would have told me that there was going to be 11 ACC teams with 7+ wins and Carolina wasn't going to be one of them, I would have thought you were crazy. But here we are. So a lot to talk about leading into next year, a lot to talk about tonight more specifically. But I want to say at the beginning, I haven't enjoyed this year with you guys, boys. The growth we've saw this year has been an awesome time, and I'm excited for the future of the Tar Pit podcast.
Yeah, man, Trev, to highlight that, man, it sucks having to have these conversations, especially losing to your rival and how the season ended. But nonetheless, good win, lose, or draw, good or bad, we're here to talk about it all. That's what we do here at the Tar Pit, and we mulled it over and thought that it was best to give this game the breakdown that it deserved. Chris, I'll steal your line there. Those are your exact words, and just do what we do, man. That's what you guys look from us and hear our thoughts. And we wouldn't say that if we hadn't been approached or told that multiple times from people that watch our stuff. So it's here we are. It was a good, outside of the result to the game. I won't necessarily say perform. We'll get more into the performance side of it here in a little bit, but outside of the game overall, it was a good day in Raleigh. I woke up that morning, Chris, honestly about texted you, bro, and said I wasn't coming because I just didn't feel good, but made the trip up, rode up there solo dolo, went incognito, even though I knew I was going to be sitting with the Carolina fans. And actually had a guy outside the gates like, who you pulling for tonight, Carolina or State? I said, man, it don't make a damn to me. I'm covering the football game, something like that. But because I couldn't tell if he was a State fan. He was incognito too. But nonetheless, it was a good time, man. Chris, I appreciate you letting me tag along with you. It was fun sitting in the Carolina section. I think the most I got haggled with were about 2 13-year-olds sitting right next to me and Chris.
Were they 13?
Maybe not even 13. They were probably like 10. I was giving them 13, but
voice was still cracking. But they were. I put on Twitter that I gave them an A- for their heckling, only because they would have got an A+, even though their mom was there. I mean, you don't ask for permission, you ask for forgiveness later. And they were like,
said belt the butt.
They were like B2A, that's B2A, like looking at me. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean, guys? I don't know what that means. Please tell me. They were like, belt the butt. I was like, man. I was like, look, if that, at least be old enough to say the words.
Yeah. You ask for forgiveness later.
You tried to fist bump me on the way out and do like the whole
hey,
thing. Then he like fell back and stuff, and his mom was catching him. I was like, bro, this been good, man. Go home, go to get to bed, buddy.
Shout out to those kids, man. They were persistent with it, but it's all a part of it, man. They're kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I went over and fist bumped them, man. We were having a good time. I mean,
they understand? They understand the rivalry, huh?
Yeah. I mean, what am I gonna do? I mean, I'm 37, they're 10. I'm not gonna go too hard on them.
That's right. But nonetheless, man, it was a good time. Got to shout out to the guys sitting in front of us, Chris. They were pretty rowdy. I felt sort of bad for the State fan that was sitting behind them, to be honest with you. I know that sounds crazy, but they were giving him a hard time, and Buddy was just sitting there trying to enjoy the game. I think he said something about he'd put more stock in Will Wade than he would Bill Belichick, and that kind of riled those guys up, considering this basketball season now too. But nonetheless, man, we'll get into the nuts and bolts of it. But hated the outcome, but it was a pleasurable time in Raleigh.
Yeah, well, let me get in here before we dive into tonight's game. Just kind of wanted to give everybody kind of like an overlay of kind of like what we're doing tonight and where we're going to go from here. You know, I've gotten a few people reach out to us. I'm sure you guys as well. You know, like what's your guys' plans in the off season?
Yes, I have a question real quick.
Yes,
I have a question. Hey, before you get into this, I want to shout out Toya, Miss Toya, Tori Newkirk's mom. Got a chance to sit down, got a chance to chat with her leaving Carter-Finley. Tori put on a heck of a drive. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Sweet woman. She watches our stuff. So, Miss Toya, if you're tuned in tonight, I appreciate your hospitality and sitting down and talking with me about your son. He looked good Friday night. And then a shout out to the Ballou family, too. I actually was trying to do a good deed and give a State fan a ride after the game because they had a NC State blanket, but they were Carolina fans. So, shout out to the Ballou family. All right, I'm good.
Is there a question in there? You said you had a question.
No, I was trying to get your attention.
I'm just kidding. I was firing back. Yeah, I did my good deed too as a Carolina fan as I was like walking to the stadium by myself. Of course, you know, I'm just saying like anywhere you go these days, you kind of have your guard up, right? But I came across this like car on the side of the road and this girl on the side of the road, and she was crying. She was dressed in red, and the guys were like yelling out the car, like, "Are you getting an Uber?" Like blah blah blah. And I was like, I just stopped and was like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she was like, yeah, and she was still crying. So I saw some other State fans, and I like went up to them, and I was like, hey, I'm not sure if she wouldn't take to me because had my Carolina blue on. Like, I see y'all are State fans. Will y'all go please check on her? So they went checked on her. It seemed like everything was getting worked out. But anyway, like I was saying, you know, before we dive in tonight, kind of want to just give a landscape of kind of like what we're doing, where we're going to go with things tonight. Like Troy did say, we are going to do our normal post-game breakdown because you never know who's out there and they want to kind of hear our thoughts. So yes, some of it is repetitive from some of the past games and the past losses, just kind of like stacking on top of each other, but we're going to give it and finish the season off and tie a bow on it, I guess you could say, the way we've done every other game. It might be a little bit shorter than usual just because there's not much more we can say and we don't want to just like drag it out. But we will be recapping the season as a whole and what what we have all decided to do. We're going to do a part A and we're going to do a part B. We're going to do a part A just solely recapping the year on the offense. And then we're also going to come back because we try to keep our episodes to an hour and it'd be like way too difficult to keep both of those to an hour when you're recapping a whole season. And then we're going to recap the season for part B just solely on the defense, and we'll throw special teams in there, you know, some way or another. Sorry, that's kind of a gallows laugh on that one because I just think anytime y'all say special teams, I think special players now after Troy said that early on in the season. So that's what we're planning to do. And then each of those part A and part B, We plan to have a former Carolina player on for each one of those episodes that follow the team currently, know the roster in and out like we do, so they can kind of like give that perspective, expert knowledge as well. But so looks like we got a couple of comments already. So tonight we are not going to get into, the portal, like what areas do we feel Carolina needs to, go after in the transfer portal, players entering. It's Connor Griffin, a follower of Tar Pit Podcast, a good friend of ours as well. Just like he dropped in here, Jason Robertson has entered the transfer. I have not verified that, but Jason Robertson has entered the transfer portal. Apparently that's a bummer. His family has been big time supporters of, okay, it is up there, right? Okay, who put that out? Transfer portal. You're on mute. Yes, I do notice that Bill does not wear socks, and it weirds me out. That was a comment on YouTube.
On 3 transfer portal.
Okay, yeah. That's a super bummer, man. I think that kid has a lot of upside. Like I said, I'm ready to go into it now, really though. But his family really though has been. We were on WhatsApp with them. We're Instagram friends with his mom, and support them throughout the year. Skylar Robinson, that'll be interesting to follow as well. He's a 2027 commit at wide receiver position. So, you never know. So, Connor, appreciate you dropping that in. Look, do us a favor, share this out wherever you are tonight, whether that be on YouTube. I know you can't reshare on YouTube, but also, you can share it out on Facebook and Twitter. That's where we are right now. So you can repost it there. We're trying to get back live on Instagram, but we've had some issues with the stream quitting on us every time we hit the live button. So we've kind of put that on hold until the offseason so we can figure out what's going on with that. So like I said, we're not going to really dive into transfer portal tonight, what we see Carolina going after, but we're already tracking it. We're already gotten our notes going on kind of what we want to see.
All over it.
Stuff we want to see, happen, OC, coaching changes, position changes, all that kind of stuff.
Hey, we do have a transfer portal tracker on Twitter. Chris, I think you set that up I think you set that up. We'll stay on top of that and get some stuff, keep updated on that too. But I thought that was pretty cool. I meant to text that in the group chat. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Instead of trying to track down information and find it at the Tar Pit. That's what we do.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get into it. Let's start off with the offense. Of course, tonight we're going to try to keep our answers, talking to both of y'all and myself, concise, straight, to the point. I do want to start off with this. This is where we're going to start tonight. Let's don't start with the offense or the defense. Dang, I must have not been invited. What's Connor talking about? Oh, it's not a group. It's not a group.
No. It's our group.
Yeah, it's an article. It's an article that he's talking about that I put out on Twitter.
I think he may have meant the group chat that I said. It's a group chat like text message thread with us 3 too. So don't feel uninvited, Connor.
You know what? I'm not going to start there. Let's just go with the offense, boys. Whoever wants to take it away. I'll start with this. It's very unfortunate that we lost Gio in the way that we lost him. Never want to see a player go down with an injury. I corrected this on Twitter, and I just, you're
muted.
You went mute, Chris.
Even though this goes towards like a state person or something like that, I'm not sure how to word that. I want to make sure. I never want there to be negative perceptions out there about a player having malicious intent. And there's someone put up a clip on Twitter saying that NC State player jumped on top of Gio Lopez there to cause him to be injured. Looked like a pretty serious injury during that time. I haven't heard an update on that. I'm not sure if you guys have. But if you go back and actually watch that clip, Carolina's player towards the end of that play, honestly, it looks like the shove wasn't even needed during that time. Pushed Vodney Cleveland, number 44, which caused him.
Not Vodney, but Cleveland.
Yeah, sorry, not Bonnie, but Cleveland number 40. I'm thinking about another
Brandon Cleveland.
Brandon, I'm thinking about another Cleveland that might be coming to Carolina, but Brandon Cleveland number 44 for NC State then fell due to that push by the Carolina player on top of Gio Lopez. So that's how Gio Lopez got injured. You can go to my page. I have something that I put out about that to kind of like help correct that narrative, because regardless of what team it is, you never want that type of malicious intent false narrative out there about a person. So boys, let's dive in. The offense kind of felt like they listened to the Tar Pit podcast or listened to Bryn from a few episodes back, right? It looks like this team rolled in to Raleigh and said, we are going to give Ship the ball. We are going to get him at least 5 designed plays right from the get-go. When Gio was dropping back, it looked like they were going Ship's way every single time, and it reaped rewards. It reaped benefits. You can go back, and we have receipts on that, right? 3 episodes ago, right? Post-game, Bryn was on with us, and he was talking about, having those design plays for impact players like that. So that's kind of what I saw for the offense. You kind of saw that progression from the Duke game. While it wasn't perfect or near what we were hoping, the type of play that we were wanting to see from Gio Lopez this year, you saw what looked like another type of continued positive trend in the right direction for Gio Lopez last night. So, Trevor, I'm going to kick it to you first. What's kind of some of your over thoughts of the offense, and then I'm going to kick it to you, Troy, to kind of give us a few of those stats along the offensive side of the ball of kind of what you saw as well.
Yeah, man. For me, it was kind of the same story we've saw the past few weeks, really all year, but the past few weeks, right? It's hard to win a football game when you can't run the ball. We averaged, 2.9 yards per carry, I believe it was. And I mean, it seemed like to me, I was very I didn't even realize Troy before we went live. So the score was 28-13 at the end of the third quarter. For me, it didn't feel like that. It felt like, to me, we were out of this game from the start. And maybe it was because I didn't really have confidence in our offense because of what we have seen all year. I listened to, unfortunately, I couldn't make it Wednesday when y'all had Savannah, but this was a game that I felt like, we could attack State's defense all year. They've had a good offense, but their defense has been the weakness, right? Same thing we thought was going to happen with Stanford, right? And it was just a story that we've seen unfold all year. It just didn't happen, right? And I think it starts with up front. Michael Lombardi was hired. He said he wanted to build this thing from the inside out. Well, that O-line, I mean, they were, especially these last few weeks, man, it was a disappointment for me, and especially last night. When you can't run the football and you rely on Gio to try to create something out of nothing, and you're predictable on offense, it's like a recipe for disaster, right? And for me, it wasn't our offense wasn't explosive enough. The same thing we've saw all year, and it was frustrating to watch, boys. I felt at times, okay, maybe here we go. We're gonna get on a roll here. They're rolling now. This is our chance to get back in this game. And then what would happen? A penalty, a bonehead sack, somebody misses a block, right? A mistake, something that we've saw happen so many times all year. But one thing that we've nailed on, and this isn't like saying we're experts or anything, everybody kind of knew, Jordan Shipp, we've got to find a way to keep Jordan Shipp in Chapel Hill. I was a bit relieved when he said in his press conference, this is home. I don't know his exact wording, but I plan on being here next year. You're on mute, Troy. I don't know if you tried to say something, but it's got to be a priority to keep him in Chapel Hill. He's somebody that you can build the program around on the offensive side of the ball, but we've got to make some changes at the bigger, more important positions in OC and quarterback. And no disrespect to Gio Lopez, I just think that he came in with an offense that wasn't built around his strong points, and maybe, best of luck to him and his recovery. I hope it's nothing serious with his injury, but we've got to make a change at OC and quarterback going into next year. And it showed again in this game, and we've got to rebuild this offensive line too.
Yeah. Troy, get in here. Tell me a little bit about what you kind of saw from the offense last night? You know, maybe some of the positives, some of the negatives that you took away from being in Raleigh on Saturday night.
Yeah, there at the beginning of the game, State opens up 14-0 pretty quickly. And Trevor, I can understand why you would feel, the game was over, pretty early, because it seemed State had the ability to go down there twice and score points and really kind of set the early tone of the football game that, hey, we're going to come out here and punch you in the mouth and see if you're going to do anything about it. I mean, I thought that there were times during the game that Carolina responded to some of those, and then I think there were other times where State just, manhandled and took what they wanted. I think they were 4 for 4 on fourth down, 6 for 12 on third down throughout the course of the game, and that's a recipe for disaster. I'll get into a lot more of why I think the game ended in the way it did, more on the defensive side of the football, because, guys, I hate to say it, but last 3 weeks, even in the Duke game, Trevor, we said 25 points was enough to beat Duke. We got 25. Defense didn't make enough plays. You know what I mean? To have a chance to win the football game. And I felt like it, at times during this game, situationally, if, Carolina's defense gets off the field, their offense has a chance to go out and put points on the board, specifically in the third quarter. But nonetheless, I thought early in the second quarter, State goes, like I said, touchdown first drive, Carolina punts first drive, 3 plays, 8 yards. Then State gets the ball back 14-0 pretty early and sets the tone for the game. But then Carolina's second quarter comes out, 9 plays, milks 5 minutes and 14 seconds off the clock and an 80-yard drive. And, Gio steps up and finds Jordan on that strike. And I honestly, man, Chris, I told you, and I told the guys behind us too, I don't know those fellas' names, but they were into it and had some good conversation. And that was the best ball Gio's thrown all year, in my opinion. And in that moment, you got to have that touchdown to really kind of save face and get your team back into it. But then, defense again, State comes out 11 plays, 75 yards, and gets a touchdown. So I really think the offense situationally, if they were, and I hate to say this because I feel like I'm criticizing the defense, and over the course of the, after that bye week in Clemson, after that Cal game up to now, they were the reason solely why we were in some of the positions to win some games. You know what I mean? You look at Cal, you look at Virginia, you beat Syracuse and Stanford, but the defense was the headline of that. And the defense is a headline for me tonight because they didn't we talk about complimentary football, fellas. The focus was solely on the offense having to play better complementary football. In the last 2 weeks, I think the defense, that's more of a storyline on the defense. I think the offense did enough the last 2 weeks to really kind of give your team a chance. And I don't think the defense did enough to really put them in a situation. Now, granted, you're talking about a defense that, had little shown to them, from the Cal game up to this point that, the offense could play complimentary football. You know what I mean? Bren brought that up on in one of our podcast episodes about, when does the defense say, hey, enough's enough, so to speak. I wouldn't like to think that the guys would do that, but it was telling, man. I think the offense, you look at Gio, I think it was 11 for 15 or 11 for 16, 118 yards, 1 touchdown.
Troy, he had another beautiful ball too that was on the right side of the field, rather deep to was it Alex Taylor that was too? And Alex Taylor couldn't get his or whoever the receiver was couldn't get his arm around, and so he tried to one arm.
That was in
Alex
the
Taylor?
end zone. That was in the end zone, I think it was.
No, I think it was the ship, wasn't it?
No, I think you're talking about the Paysor one that was like he just completely missed, which I do want to talk about that one. But there was one that wasn't in the end zone. It was earlier on in the game, and it was kind of a deep shot to a receiver on the right side of the field along the sideline. I was just pointing out that it seemed like another good ball that Lopez threw up there.
Yeah. And offensively, you come into this game and State did a great job on both lines of scrimmages, offensive line and defensive line. They controlled both lines of scrimmages, and made it known early that was going to be the tone of the game. Like, you're going to have to beat us. And I see my dad in there. They got outcoached and outplayed. He done finally tapped into Twitter or on YouTube. But this man keeps wanting his own segment, but I don't think they're ready for that. They ain't ready for all that. But
at the top of my notes, I did for myself. The first note is outcoached. The second note is outplayed. I'm with you, Chris. I'm with you.
Yeah. State didn't do. I'll get into this on defense. Offensively, you tried to establish a running game, and it just didn't work. I thought that the passing game. I mean, Gio threw for 195. Jordan Shipp, Kobe Paysor. I like what they brought. Those are the two main focuses in the passing game. But it just was very bland, man. It wasn't there wasn't nothing special about last night. Felt like offense could have been put in a little bit better position. I mean, you think about this, guys. State goes down. Let me look at the play-by-play here. I got it pulled up. It's 14-7. State gets the ball next, 21-7. Carolina goes down, 11 plays, 5 minutes, and settles for 3. We had to have 6 there. Right there at the end of the half, man. I mean, they milked 5 minutes of clock off the. They milked 5 minutes of time off the clock. Defense lets them go down there and get in the goal line and add to one of them, whoever Wilson's rushing totals for the rushing touchdowns for the night. I mean, it's just a bad situational football, man. It's all around. That's kind of where I'm at with it. I've got a lot more to say on the defense.
Yeah, talk to me about the the pass that Gio had. He's rolling out to his left there, deep shot to Kobe Paysor in the end zone. Overall, it kind of just looked like a bad pass to me. It's, in my opinion, if you're a $2 million quarterback and you're any quarterback that's a starting quarterback in the ACC should be able to make that throw if you're rolling out of the pocket towards.
I know exactly the play that you're talking about
towards the side of the field that you're supposed to be rolling out to versus the other side. It seems like that's the side they've been getting them out to all year, is the wrong side. This one's to the right. Felt the pressure, got out to his left side. I guess he is throwing. It was
throwing to his left.
Left side.
Left. Yep.
And it just looked like a bad placed ball. I did see some things on Twitter, which is hard to kind of keep up with that while you're live at the game because you're trying to be in the moment, kind of blaming like Kobe Paysor for not going out for that. But being there live, it didn't even look like it was in his vicinity to make. But overall, to me, it just felt like that should have been a play that you make at the ACC P4 level.
I agree with you. And I would say, too, we saw even Drake May would miss throws at times. I feel like with where our offense is, Gio, and I've said it a few weeks back, our offense had to be perfect because it's not explosive. We don't have it's like that's our one explosive play. We got 3 explosive plays we'll have all game, right? And that was one of the 3s. If you miss it, it's not going to happen. So I get it. He definitely should have made that throw. But I'll say also if we had it wouldn't be as noticeable if we had a more explosive offense, I guess you could say. But definitely a $2 million quarterback, he should make that throw, right?
Well, and Chris, I know the exact play you're talking about, but I can't remember exactly who it was to. But I made the comment.
Kobe.
Was it to Kobe? I made the comment to you. I'm like, look, Matt Rule said this, I think 5 to 6 years ago. A good quarterback in college football is going to cost you $8 to $10 million, right? An elite quarterback. I'm talking next level talent. I don't know how true that is, but you look at what Gio's getting paid at 2 and the talent, right? You look at, what what Duke's getting out of Darian Mensah and what they're paying him, and the talent. So you look at what $2 million to get you versus what, $2 million a season to get you versus what $4 million a season to get you. You know what I mean? So it'll be interesting, man.
I'm willing to bet that price goes up, boys. Everything in this world gets more and more expensive, right? These quarterbacks that $4 million would have got you this year is going to cost you $6 now.
Especially with Carolina showing the inability to do anything offensively without a decent quarterback. I'm not knocking Gio. Trevor, to your point, I think there were a lot of things stacked against him and his talents this season and the type of offense we wanted to run. But it's I don't know, quarterback's one of those things, man. You talk about price, it's team by team. You know what I mean? Carolina's got a high need for a quarterback. Any team would have a high need for a quarterback, I guess you could say. But looking at the performance of the offense overall, and I mean, it's a higher need for a quarterback in Chapel Hill to get the program to where it needs to be.
All right, I got
two. May go up due to that factor.
Yeah, I got 2 more points on side of the offense that I kind of want to get y'all's opinion on. We're at the 35-minute mark, and I want to get some good time on the defensive side of the ball. Just want to do a quick reminder to everybody. We have 250 people tuned in right now. We appreciate you guys tapping in with us. Do us a favor if you haven't already. Be sure to share out the stream if you're on Facebook and Twitter, YouTube. Drop us a comment. Let us know where you're listening from. That's anywhere. If you got a comment or a question, drop it in there. We'll do our best to get to it. But tonight we're not going over transfer portal, who needs to go, who needs to stay. We're going to wrap that up in a part A and a part B. Part A fully dedicated to a season recap to the offense. Part B, season recap of the defense. And then we're going to be following the transfer portal, talking about the things that we want to see and all the big time decisions that we would like to see happen at Carolina football in the offseason, who we think they need to go after. As well, but tonight's all about breaking down what happened in Raleigh and Carter-Finley Stadium. All 3 of us were there, like we talked about early on. But guys, I got 2 more things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Max Johnson. Actually, I'm gonna do it like this. Trevor, I'm gonna kick it to you for Max. Max came in, unfortunately, when Gio got hurt. Seemed to perform well. I kind of think Troy probably was getting on he was not getting on my nerves. I was probably getting on his nerves with that probably he gets on my nerves too sometimes. But I get on his nerves too sometimes, probably. And last night was probably one of them. I was like, see, I told you. Like I was telling him that there's nobody that could tell me that this offense don't look better with Max in it. Regardless of the situations that we've seen, he just looks confident when he drops back, he's like actually going through reads. There's not much of a panic. Even last night when he was scampering, like straight dart down the field, of course they're dropping back, and I guess they may be not as respecting the run as much maybe as they would have Gio in their minds. Maybe that's where it went, or play calling, that's where it went. But, man, he looked a hell of a good too, coming off that tragic injury that he had last year, running that ball down the field. I will tell you, though, he was quick to get down, and I don't blame him, right? I mean, he took some hard hits again.
Hey, he lowered his shoulder a couple times, too.
His first one out of the pocket, he was like, bring it. I won't contact, it seemed like. But I'm going to kick it to you for Max. How do you felt like he did coming in, filling in for Gio? His last game at the college level, man. I know you're probably not listening to this podcast, but thank you for being a Tar Heel Max. And then Troy, I know you talked to the Newkirk family after the game last night. If you're listening tonight and you kind of want to get some thoughts on how we feel about Aturi Newkirk, we did a breakdown of him early on in the season, and it's one of our biggest performing videos that we've ever put out. And so that's kind of where I wanted to go with it. So Trevor, Max, Troy, Newkirk.
Yeah. So with Max, I mean, it did look at times. I mean, in terms of efficiency, he was 8 for 15 passing, 54 yards. But when it came to decision making, he was quick, right? Like you said, he went through his reads. Nothing was there. He took off running. 4 carries, 28 yards, had an 18-yard run. And that's something that we've said all year. I wish Gio would have did it more. I wish Gio would have took off and ran more, because I feel like it would have opened up a lot more. But Max, we all have said that this offense, and not to discredit Gio or it just, this offense was built as a pro style offense, and I felt that Max fit that much better than Gio from the start. So I completely agree. I had a state buddy that came up and sat with me, and every time he was sitting with me, we did something good on offense. And Max came in the game, and there were state fans around me, and they were like, "Oh Lord, we don't want him to play." It was like even the state fans knew, and thought we were going to make a run and a comeback at that point. But unfortunately, we didn't end up doing it. But Max is, he's a trooper. I think that I don't know what his plans are. I remember when we talked about Max at the beginning of the year with all the coaches that he has played for and the knowledge that he's soaked in at all these different levels with all these Hall of Fame coaches and Super Bowl winning coaches. I think he could make a heck of a coach one day if he wanted to.
Yeah,
but that's all I really got on him.
All good thoughts there on Max. Troy, I'm gonna kick it to you for Newkirk. How do you felt when he came in? I know he had a good touchdown pass. It seemed like the Jordan Owens' last go as a Tar Heel here. Only 1 year at Carolina. Man, he follows the Tar Pit podcast on Instagram. We've been able to have the opportunity to interact with him a few times. I know he's probably not listening to this podcast, but Jordan, thank you for being a Tar Heel for this 1 year. Hadn't caught a touchdown pass all year. Was mostly used in the run blocking game. Anytime he was on the field, 90% of the time, the run was coming. I mean, it was so what's the word?
Obvious for anybody.
Obvious.
Anybody that paid attention to Carolina's.
Yeah, you don't even have to be a ball knower to know that, right? That here it comes. But it's pretty cool to see him get a touchdown. Trevor, it looks like you got something sarcastic you want to say.
I was just going to say they saved that for the end of the year. They're like, they're going to expect the runs coming here. Let's throw it to Jordan. They just knew. They saved it a little too late.
Yeah, here's our trickery for the last,
hoorah,
12 games. We're going to throw it at you right now. I mean, they had that one trick play early in the game that was a disaster, right? But they're like, all right, let's reach way back in our bag for this last attempt trick play. So anyway, it's easy to kind of laugh about. But Troy, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the game, mind you, the Dogs were called off. State, had the game in the bag. But I thought what Torrey did coming in, in the – let's see here. The
Wolves were called off.
The 11 play, 65-yard drive that he was in on. I thought he looked good. And Stephen Roberts in the chat said Newkirk has a dog in him, not the arm yet. He showed some flashes, man. He stood comfortable up in the pocket, delivered some shots. They did a good blend of rushing. I mean, they had some pretty nice pickups. Mind you, this is like garbage time. Not saying that he's garbage, but that's just a fantasy term. I mean, 8-yard run, 5-yard run, 10-yard pass to Kobe. Another 9-yard pass to Kobe, and then the touchdown pass to Jordan Owens. I mean, I thought he looked comfortable out there, given the situation and the time, in the game. And he's got. I think he's got a promising future, man. His mom mentioned he's not in the business of moving around, and I don't ever foreshadow what's going to happen during a kid's career because you just don't ever know. You know what I mean? But he's a guy thinking that. Quarterback room, everybody's, talked about wanting to see what Bryce Baker. I saw people, put on Twitter, Max comes in, but how do you not turn to the two freshmen in the quarterback room to evaluate and see what you have in live reps? And while I do get that, a Torrey, I think there were some rumors coming out of camp that he progressed a lot quicker than probably people imagine, that he progressed kind of the way they thought Bryce would, but he got that QB3 nab. Gio goes down. Max gets pulled. Torrey comes in, and he looked good. So I think it'll be interesting to see. We talk about the quarterback position, and Torrey Newkirk is a legend in the town that he is from. He is highly revered in the state of Virginia, and I think he won 4 state championships. I mean,
10,000 yards in 2 seasons.
Yeah, so I mean,
I
know that's the high school level, but you talk about a kid, and all the frustrations that be. I know people were screaming for Bryce, or a new quarterback change 3-4 weeks ago just to see what you had. I think a Torrey, man, it'd be interesting to see how that quarterback room shakes up. I think that they will look to add competition there naturally. We'll get into that later, but the freshmen, I think it'd be interesting to see who stays, who goes, or if that's the case. But I liked what I seen from a Torrey last night. Had been tough frustration. Yeah, possibly so. Possibly so. He looked relaxed. He looked relaxed to me.
Well, I think, too, it's good to remember all these kids are competitors, right?
They went for 2, and
No, he didn't. It was a little thrown behind him.
Yeah, that's right. He had one rush though. He had one rush where he flexed on him. He looked comfortable to me. I know in that time it's kind of stupid to probably flex, but because we're down. But it is what it is. Kid had a moment.
All right, well let's go ahead and transfer over to the defense. Prior to this, we said we were going to stick to 45 minutes, but here we are. Anyway, we're just going to ignore that and just keep rolling. Kind of to Steven's point before we transition. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, that whether the frustration is frustration or it's just amped up, right? It is what it is. We got to remember all these kids are competitors, right? They want to be in the game. They want a ball when they get out there. That's what they stay prepared for.
Exactly.
So
nonetheless, he looked comfortable and looked good when he was out there on that 8 or 6, 8 to whatever play drive. He looked comfortable for a freshman in that moment, and I was impressed with him.
This is where I want to start going into as we transition to defense. I like to, for some point, I feel like it's kind of my fault. I'll start with that. Going into the Stanford game.
If you're going to the yellow, I was about the midway point of the season, right?
It was before the Duke game.
Definitely before the Duke game because it was at one of our game day shows. So it had to be Stanford. I made it a point to really, because prior to the season, we talked about some of the things we wanted to see, and transitioning from the Mac era to Belichick is one of them that I think we all mentioned is disciplined football, right? We had been ranked very poorly when it comes to penalties. And throughout the season, this team had been trending the right way for it. So I felt like I made us spend at least a 15 to 20-minute segment on our Game Day Live show talking about how disciplined this football team.
At that point, we were second ACC. We averaged 5 penalties per game.
Yeah.
I think we were 30 to 40th nationally or something like that. But anyway, I was kind of looking into it, and at some point I was on Twitter and I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is like kind of the research that I was doing. Adam Lucas threw this up. I'm just going to read it here for us. Adam Lucas with GoShield.com. The first UNC football game was played in 1888. Since then, there have been 86 seasons in which no, this is not what I wanted to throw up, is it? Nope, that's not the penalty one. My bad. But let's talk about the penalties really quick, and I'm going to try to find that screenshot that I had. My apologies. Overall, I mean, just another poor performance as it relates to penalties. Let's talk a little bit about that and how that trend has started to affect this team. I'd kind of asked Troy, at the game, is this team just become undisciplined, or is this a buildup of frustration? Or is this kind of a sense of they had a handle on the locker room, the staff did, when it came to playing disciplined ball, and then as the season kept losing close games, the locker room kind of went to shit with it all. It is what it is. I'm just going to roll out. And they maybe kind of lost the locker room a little bit. I know it's hard to know or tell. Troy, can you load that into the system? Or okay, I will.
I can't do that. My Mac blocks it out where I can't click.
Okay, I got you, buddy. So y'all talk about that. What's kind of your thoughts on that?
I'll kind of take the lead on this if it's cool. Going Trevor, you made the point, up into that Duke game, going into the Duke game, we averaged 5 penalties a game. We were one of the least penalized teams, not only in the conference, but, in the country. And, that Duke game, I understand it's a rivalry game, it tempers flair, but I mean, guys, we had, I think, most of them, to my knowledge, were stupid penalties. Like, I felt like the guys early on did a pretty good job at, pulling themselves out of some situations. State got caught on some personal foul penalties, some bonehead decisions. But, you look at the penalty aspect of it, and you can kind of translate it to the overall picture of what you hope to see from Carolina this year. And, Chris, to your statement, I'll kind of piggyback off that a little bit. With the Belichick team, you talk about disciplined football, but there was a certain level of preparedness in each game that we all anticipated coming in, coming into this season. And we just never saw that. And I think that's a lot of the frustration within the fan base too, is, while the last 2 weeks there was a lack of discipline, regardless of the rivalry aspect, that was the case. They were a majority of the penalties the 2 weeks were stupid penalties, bonehead, get yourself out of the situation. But just the level of unpreparedness was the most frustrating part to me on this defense, man. It just time after time, it's in here in the last 3 weeks specifically, that Wake Forest game. I mean, I know there were situations in that game that Carolina couldn't necessarily help. The Carlos Hernandez fumble, touchdown. That's a big play. Something you don't really foresee happening in a football game, but Wake Forest capitalized on it. The defense, during the from the Cal game up into the Duke game was the reason, like I said, we were in some of those positions to win them there at the end. And here the last 2 weeks specifically, I felt like the defense, didn't really do enough to really put Carolina in some situations to win. I do think I saw it more in the Duke game, right? In the second half of the Duke game, Carolina's up 25-24 or something like that. You get them off the field. Carolina showed 2 drives of playing great complementary football against Duke, and we were able to capitalize the lead. But from that point, you can't do nothing to hold them. You know what I mean? There were times and situations in this game against State. I mean, you're looking at the play-by-play. It's 28. It's you give up a touchdown at the end of the first half, and that sucks, right? You can't do that. You have to be aware of the situation. It's 21-10. Carolina gets the ball back at the start of the second half, and you come out 28-10, and you somehow can score. You're talking about a totally different ball game. It's a big what if, but in the third quarter, you come out. It's 28-10 for a long time. Carolina gets the ball back, punts. State gets the ball first drive, 3 plays, 1 yard, punt, and then we settle for a field goal. And it really did. The collapse didn't really happen until the fourth quarter. I don't really know what the disconnect was.
Hey, Troy.
I think State.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Look at the chat real quick. I think you might be having some audio issues, bro. I don't mean to cut you off. I can hear you fine, but I think the stream may be having some problems. But to piggyback off where you were going there, it seemed like we shot ourselves in the foot late in these games, and we couldn't get off the field on third and fourth down, most importantly. And I think Chris brought up a good point, whereas we thought that this team was going to be disciplined, right? And they had showed it all year, but it seemed like at times when we were undisciplined, those guys, there wasn't any sort of accountability or punishment in the way of I would like to see them taken off the field. It felt like these guys that were committing the penalties knew oh, well, I'm all you got here. I'm playing no matter what. And the penalties came at the worst time. So I hate that we had a whole segment that we spent praising them, and ever since we had that segment, it's gone downhill. So a lot that I didn't expect with Belichick. You expected a good defense and you expected a disciplined football team, and it came at the end of the year that story was totally different. I do want to, before I'm changing the topic a little bit here, but I just got a text. One of our youngest supporters, Bobby Bird, is watching us. So Bobby, if you notice at the beginning of the show, Chris said I was at the State game at the game with some State fans. So the fans I was with, Bobby's dad, Kevin, actually graduated from NC State. Well, he's my cousin, and I'm slowly turning Bobby into a Carolina fan. I may need to. Carolina's hurt me so much here lately. I might need to just get him somewhere else. But he's listening to our podcast tonight, so I want to shout him out. He's one of our youngest supporters. So this Tar Pit is growing the UNC fandom one episode at a time.
Hey, I'm gonna try to jump back in here. Does it sound better?
You've sounded fine for me the whole time. I don't know. We'll have to get somebody in the chat to let us know. I know we're asking here. We had David Walton say the audio was a little choppy.
Yeah.
So if you guys in the YouTube stream can just let us know.
I think I see Chris over there trying to, with his ear to his phone, trying to see how it looks backstage. But nonetheless, man, it goes back. You talk about the penalties, the level of, I guess unpreparedness or undisciplined is very shocking from a Belichick defense.
Yeah, I completely agree. And man, this like you said, I thought that and the reason I guess I could say where the game felt out of it for me, and I had a little hope when we went down and we had that ship. I was like, okay, the defense is they're going to be what they're going to come back. They're going to get some stops here. But when our defense, you mentioned it, they've won us. They're the reason we were in so many of these games. So when I was like, dang, State's kind of doing whatever they want right now. And it was, missed tackles, it was penalties, it was lack of, containing the quarterback, missed gap assignments, lack of physicality, and especially in the short yardage situations, man. It was, you knew Will Wilson was coming in to freaking run the football.
Couldn't do nothing about it.
And it was like, here it comes. Try to stop me, and we couldn't.
Yep. And you look at some of those CJ Bailey long runs, man. I'm sitting there telling Chris and the guys behind us, I'm like, one dude is beating us right now. That whole first quarter, I don't really think State did anything crazy. You know what I mean? But it goes back to my point. State and Duke are two very similar teams in the fact that, State probably Duke probably has better talent offensively than State does, but State I feel like does a better job at running their system offensively. They know what they're getting, and it goes back to, our offense. We don't have an identity. State has an identity at this point in the season, and they were able to do whatever they wanted to against our defense, which really was the surprise of the whole game to me. Like, I really thought that our defense would come out there and, capitalize and, put us in some positions. And look, you see the old dude slide out of bounds. That is, you talk about an undisciplined. Look at him. He's running. That's how many times have we seen a substitution penalty in the last 2 weeks? You talk about a undisciplined or unpreparedness. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff you talk about. Trevor, you rattled off gap discipline. You know what I mean? Some of the things that work.
Look at him slide off the field. I saw the Panthers did that on Monday Night Football, and another guy did that on the Panthers, and it was funny. It looks just like that same play.
Yep.
Well, let me ask you this, Troy, before you keep going. Would you say, I'm going to go through some of these Wilson runs, would you say that they are stacking the box? Or Trevor, too, you can tap in here. Would you say that this is stacking the box on this Wilson run?
Yeah, we'll see. They load.
I mean, you got one safety high.
They load to the left side of the line. So, I mean, that's where they're going. And Kamori House said it in the press conference. They did a great job at loading to one side of the football, and it's hard to get bodies on there.
Right. So how about this one? Would you say this is stacking the box as well? I mean, I know these answers. I'm just asking you outright because I've had some people say, like, hey, they weren't stacking the box. It didn't seem like, they were really putting much effort into when Will Wilson was coming into the games. I think he had only had one pass prior to this game, so there wasn't much to look out for when it came to the passing. I mean, it's always in your mind, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back to – never mind, I won't get into that now. But would you say this one is stacking the box, or is this one a little bit more relaxed? So it's like a 4.
I mean,
I think it's solid play. I think the biggest difference is we got dominated on both sides of the line of scrimmage.
In the trenches,
Play the play. I mean, there's no
just bad tackling, honestly.
I mean, look at the whole D line. Play the clip all the way through.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Getting knocked off the ball.
Just getting moved, man. Stacking the box or not, when you're getting moved like that with ease, it don't really matter. You ain't stopping them.
So also, let's go back to let's go back to, I felt like apologize. I was off stream trying to work through those sound issues, trying to figure out what was going on. Apologize to all the listeners out there. Sometimes there's just some things that happen with streaming services that are out of our hands. But look, in situations like
Sorry
that,
about that, guys.
No. We appreciate when people comment and let us know. That's why I removed myself from the stage to get off and kind of figure out what's going on so I can listen, and see what was going on. And I think we've gotten it resolved. So if it is starting to happen again, please let us know so I can figure something out. But did you guys, when I was off screen, did you talk about the touchdown? I think when it would have been a little bit of a minute left in the game, not in the game, but in the second quarter going into the half. I thought that was a big turning point as well. That the add 7 there. Did y'all discuss that at all?
Yeah, we did, man. It's it was that you can't have that in that situation, and the ease that they were able to do it, man. It's the same thing. The whole first half of State's offense was the same thing. CJ Bailey, he'd scamper, pick up first down, and when he couldn't, you bring in Wilson. You know what I mean? You get down the goal line, Carolina showed an inability to stop anything that they were doing the whole first half. And they put up 28 points.
I mean,
with ease.
I mean, also, how rare is it that you have two fake types of special teams play happen to you week after week or back-to-back weeks?
I literally brought that up. I was like, with Belichick, you expect good special teams, good discipline, good defense. And the past few weeks, it's been what's hurt us, right?
Did y'all talk about that too while I was off?
No. I was saying I talked about it at the game with some of the fans I was sitting with. It was crazy. But to go back to State's offense, man, they have what Troy said earlier. They have an identity. They know what they do best. They have a good scheme, and there's a reason their offensive coordinator they have a quarterback, and there's a reason their offensive coordinator is up for awards right now at the end of the season. First-year offensive coordinator is making our offense look like a middle school offense compared to what they're running.
I found this play rather frustrating as well. The Grimes touchdown. It kind of looked like Allen was on coverage there. No, that's not the one I was referring to, but is this one at the end going into the –
No, I know which one you're talking about. That was I think Grimes was the first touchdown of the game, and Marcus was in coverage on that.
Gotcha.
Right after that play, I got a text, and the text said, there's a reason we got 4 big-time corners committed right now. And it was somebody that's in the know with what's going on in the program. And I was like, yeah, man, it's frustrating. I hate it, but it's something that we've seen for his whole career, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know who you got that text from.
I was talking to Chris during the game. I was like, damn, Trevor said a couple weeks ago Marcus Allen plays good against State. They jinxed him.
Did y'all read this one off by chance?
Did I say that, or was that you, Troy? I want to go back and listen to that.
That was you, buddy.
I want to go back. I'm going to clip that.
I said he played good against Duke. You said State.
Well, he had to pick against State last year.
Yeah. We talked about that graphic, Chris. We threw that up on there.
Yeah, but did you read it off?
I mean, no, not word for word.
Okay. I mean, I didn't know. I thought it was pretty.
No, I mean, it's telling, dude. It's like, it goes back to the preparedness of it, and overall, there's a certain type of team that Carolina fans expected to field with Belichick at the head coach, at the leader of the helm. And, one thing we all said, there may be situations where Carolina loses some games, but one thing they're not going to do is they're not going to beat themselves. Belichick's their head coach. They're not going to beat themselves.
To me, that says lack of discipline, lack of accountability.
Yep.
Accountability. Get them off the freaking field.
All right, boys. That's kind of all I got for us tonight, unless you guys got anything else you want to cover.
I'll say I am excited still, unfortunately, the way this ended, but we've got some great, 40 recruits coming in. It's a lot of kids, but there's some really good kids that are coming in, good families, good kids. December 3rd, signing day. There's already some guys that we have talked to that have committed to us in the transfer portal that want to come on the show and talk about their commitment for our offseason coverage of Behind the Commitment. So I am excited for Wednesday. I think there's some other big-time recruits that we're going to add that we're in the lead for that will be nice additions at some point, hopefully, in their Carolina career. So I am excited for Wednesday. So looking forward to that.
Man, shout out to Quan. It looks like we had him battling with his internet when it was actually on our end.
Yeah, man. It's
Cowboys fan.
Just as much as I was looking forward to, giving this episode the respect it deserves and breaking this game down, I'm just as much forward to looking at some things overall with Carolina football and talking about that in that Part A, Part B series with offense and defense, because it's a
yeah, Troy. So we got 333 people in here. Everybody didn't start with us, in the beginning. Now halfway through, we kind of talked about what we were going to be doing, as we close it out, kind of remind everybody, where we're going as we get into the off season here.
Yeah, Big K actually put this in here as you were leading into that. So
you gotta ask him, why was he asleep so early in the day?
Yeah, come on, dog. You're supposed to have the reminder set on your phone when we go live. Nonetheless, man, this season, this off season, we're gonna, we're obviously still gonna be putting out some stuff and keeping everybody in the know with Carolina football. That's what we do here at the Tar Pit. It's a year round thing. It's a lot of news coming with Carolina football. I highly anticipate some changes coming on either side of the football. Nonetheless, we're going to keep you in the know. So what we've decided to do is do this breakdown tonight, talk about the NC State game. We're going to get our heads together, and we're going to do a Part A and Part B overall recap, breakdown, visionary season. One of the things that I thought was pretty funny in the press conference with Bill after the game was they kept trying to beat it out of them. What's the next steps? What, season recap, what did you learn this year, coach? He's like, dude, we just finished with State 15 minutes ago. Like, we'll worry about that this week. And so that's kind of, we wanted to get State out the way, do the recap like we've done all season, stay true to what we've done and what we've built here at the Tar Pit this season. It's been fun. Trevor, you said it at the beginning. Nonetheless, the season didn't go how we all wanted it to, but nonetheless, it was fun doing this. Live game day shows. You guys took it to a whole nother level, helping us grow this thing, and we appreciate everybody. But we're gonna keep, doing what we're doing. Part A, Part B of, offense, defense, where Carolina wants to go from here, where we like to think, see them go, kind of our thoughts on it. And then obviously as, guys, enter the portal or guys commit, we have that transfer portal tracker out on Twitter. We'll keep you in the know on that. And obviously with some breaking news, we'll hop on here, do some podcasts. We're going to try to expand the Life After Canaan series, try to pour into some behind the commitments and grow those two series as well. So I'm excited for that. But anything that goes on with Carolina football, you guys know to come join us here at the Tar Pit, your go-to spot for all things Carolina football. You see us, we've done this all year long. Guys, I think we've missed 3 games this season in person, and they were all away. I think one of them was UCF. The other one was Syracuse. And then what was – that may be it.
Cal.
And
California.
then Cal. So they're justifiable. But that's what we do here at the Tar Pit. Win, lose, or draw. We talk about it all. The good, the bad, the ugly. We take pride in that here. So
stay on the lookout. Get to heaven in a red canoe, though.
Because God's favorite color is Carolina blue. Come on.
Talk to me.
I'm excited.
Fire me up.
Turn me up.
Dadgum. All right, we're starting to talk like State fans. Y'all calm down.
Now you're saying that. Hey, we're a lot clearer than Belichick sounded in his post-game presser last night.
Yeah.
They pour it's not Chelsea Swanson, whatever, I don't want to say whatever her name is, but is it Chelsea Swanson or Swanson for I'm gonna say Miss Swanson with the news.
Shelby, I think.
Shelby, yeah, she's a Carolina grad. I think she asked him a question, kind of one of the questions
I don't know.
You were asking him that you were kind of talking about, Troy. Maybe I don't really recall, and she put it on Twitter, and I went and looked at it. Yeah. Literally, you could not understand a word he said. He's like,
yeah. He's like, he said, I don't know. She asked him I can't remember this exact specific question that she asked him. Let me stop there before I try to rattle off something that's not completely true. And I get Shelby comes looking for me saying I misquoted her. But I can't remember.
Worse for the News and Observer. You better be careful.
That's what I'm saying. I caught myself.
They got it out for Carolina.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. They're in cahoots with WRL.
Oh gosh.
Nonetheless, man, he said, I don't know. She asked a question. He said, I don't know.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. He said, I don't know.
Nah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. That's exactly how I said it.
Shout out to Steven. Gents, job well done this year. Appreciate that, my guy.
I'm looking forward to this, what goes on with Carolina next. We got through this year, guys. It was a grind. I put a story out on Twitter. It's been a grind, but we've been locked in all season long, man. We've endured it. And I think endured is the right word. And it's been fun, though, man. It's been fun to talk about this. It's been fun to travel with the team. I honestly wasn't going to go to Raleigh this week. I hadn't felt good. I don't feel good right now. Got a little cold. And not bad. Not bad. My wife had a cough for like a week. And
hey, happy birthday, by the way.
For my wife, yeah.
To your wife, yeah.
Yep. So today's my wife's birthday. So shout out to my wife. Happy birthday, Ashley. And it's fun, man. I'm looking forward to what we do, what we got going on as Carolina football moves forward.
Boys, I'll say when you have for me anyway, because I follow recruiting pretty closely. I know y'all do too. I'm sure most of our fans are listening to. When you have a crappy season and you don't make a bowl game, this is the excitement for where do we go this offseason? The transfer portal, the coaching changes, the signing day. So I will be excited to talk about that this offseason with you guys.
I mean, something also to remember is that one transfer portal this year, January 2nd to January 16th. I talked about that in the article I started today on Twitter.
And you see these kids from Carolina that are already entering the portal, especially Chris Gulliver. I'm sure there's probably 2-3 schools that he already knows where he's going.
And they officially, just so everybody knows, they officially can't enter the portal until January the 2nd.
That does not mean they cannot announce their intent to enter. Because I know we had a discussion about that earlier in the year. Somebody said they can't enter the portal until so-and-so date. That is correct, but they can go ahead and announce their intent to jump in.
And I'm sure they've been getting calls for a while now.
Well,
I kind of talked about that in the article, kind of gave a rundown of the new transfer portal and how all that works. And
I've seen that. I really love what you did there, dude. That was awesome thinking on that. I thought
got one more to add after this, unfortunately.
Yeah. Guys, we will. I think we have more than reiterated to you guys that this is your go-to spot for everything that's going on for Carolina football. And yes, Steve, I will agree with you, buddy. This offseason is probably just as important as last offseason, if not more important, in my opinion.
This will tell the fate of the Belichick-Lombardi era for me.
Yep.
This offseason is going to – what do we do?
Yep.
I mean, definitely when you look at next year's schedule.
Yeah. It's a tough one.
I mean, I know that teams can whatever from year to year now can either be skyrocketed very good or be completely worse than they were the year before or in between. I mean, look at Notre Dame's slow start this year, right? But they trended way up right after that slow start. So, I mean, they're going to have to nail it because next year's schedule, and we saw what happened in year one with probably the easiest schedule that we've potentially had in maybe a decade. I don't know. I'm just kind of throwing that out there. I don't know that to be a fact.
Yeah. It's they're gonna have to make that money work. Nick Saban said it on College Game Day, and it's the truest words I've ever heard spoke about the current landscape of Carolina football. College football. You can have a $20 million roster, but if you ain't paying the right guys, it don't make a damn. So it's going to be interesting to see what Carolina does. Portal window's shrinking. You only got one this season. And it's going to be telling, just how aggressive they are. I think this staff has been committed to getting a good 2026 class. Trevor, I think you said we got 40-some new guys coming in. and then, laying that foundation, getting those guys in, and then supplementing your team and boosting your team throughout the portal. And I think they've got the work cut out for them. And we talk about, they put out the post the other night about, we know what a Carolina football player is. I think you need a part of these offseason conversations. You need to look at who you've got on roster that's coming back. Davion Goss, Damon June. You've got Carolina players on roster right now. And I think you need to sit down and really assess what you have and figure out where you want to go, your areas of importance, and then move. So it's going to be telling, guys. It is this. I will agree. This is a greatly important offseason for Carolina football.
No excuses this offseason.
Nope. We should have an extra 1.5 mil once Gio writes us a check.
Mr. Hill, we need you to go collect that for us, Mr. Hill, please.
I have no idea some of the comments this man's about to put in here.
All right, well, let's get out of here, boys. The only thing I say for is stay tuned in to what we got. We'll be dropping something this week with Part A, season recap of the offense, and then we'll transfer over to I use transfer portal.
Sorry, that was long-winded, Chris.
No, you good. Transfer over to Part B of the season recap, and we'll talk about the defense. We're gonna keep it rolling this all season. Also, stay tuned. You might start seeing some other different stuff from us in the future. We're talking about a lot of things from the Tar Pit. Also, look, this is not like a moment to, I don't know. I'm just going to say it. Look, if you can know somebody in the local area, whether it be Durham, Chapel Hill, Raleigh area, any area that's Carolina sports, Tar Pit Podcast is officially in the phase of looking for sponsors and, seeing how we can continue to grow this thing and take it to the next level. And when we're talking about sponsors, we're talking about sponsors to where we can continue to invest in the product that we're putting out to you guys. Game day shows, the whole long audio, all of it.
Visual.
So
yep.
Also stay tuned. Marquise Williams, former quarterback at Carolina, is over on Twitter right now. And he says, I am going to be a man of my word. Since people think I'm lying, somebody send me a state shirt so I can post myself in it. He made a bet with somebody prior to the state game that he would put on a state shirt and take a picture if Carolina lost. So
how would you do that to yourself?
Definitely Marquise, right?
How would you do that?
Trevor, y'all are close, man. You need to hit him up about this, man.
Hey, shout out to him to sticking to his word. I wouldn't have took the bet.
At least it's not the guy
I bet last year I had $100. I lost $100 last year. I said this year I am not betting you again, buddy.
At least you're not the guy in the fan base that was like, I'll eat poo. Oh, camera.
Yeah, we need to find that guy. Whatever happened with that?
He deleted his Twitter.
Did he?
Oh, wow. Thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, and I guess he didn't want to go through it, so he just deleted his Twitter.
That's one thing. Anyway. That's one thing to get out of a bet is just delete it. Nobody knows who you are.
He's got a new account now.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Let's get out of here. Look, from the bottom of our heart, from the Tar Pit, we thank you for tuning in. All 12 games. It's been a joy. Outside of the many losses that we had this year, it's been a joy hanging out with all of you guys and meeting you guys in person. Man, it just really has been. What?
Chris Hill's going wild. Hey, when this popped up, have y'all heard? This is random thoughts in my head. You know how it works. The Panthers guy that does, if you had 150,000, if you had
close this out,
15 million to spend in the portal, what would you do? And then Chris Hill's in here. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
I was like doing a heart-to-heart moment.
I'm sorry. He's making us laugh, bro. He's saying some funny stuff.
That's what he'll do. Because I know he's sending stuff in this. He's sending stuff in this chat, hoping, just waiting to see if I'll read it and bust out.
Yeah, because he's wanted his own show and you've blocked him from it. So he's like, this is how I'm going to get my show.
Hey, I can live with this. That's cool. Because at least YouTube will filter it out if he says something crazy. I ain't got to do it.
Yeah, I know. What's that guy that used to coach? He was on Netflix. What's his name?
Jason Brown.
Yep.
I love that dude. He is hilarious, bro.
All right, let's get out of here. Look, we appreciate y'all tuning into the Tar Pit podcast. I'm not going to try to do a heart-to-heart again because there ain't no telling what Troy's dad, Chris, is going to put in here while I'm trying to have a heart-to-heart. But that is a pretty funny one about he's about to delete his too. Anyway, look, all our socials are not being deleted as far as I know. Y'all can tap in, follow it, share it, stay in tune with the Tar Pit because we're going to talk about it all. Good and bad, ugly, whatever Troy says, we're going to talk about it all. We're going to cover this stuff. I was about to say the S word. All the way from the start to the finish this all season. We're going to keep you guys in the know. We're also going to start focusing back on after signing day. We're going to start focusing again on our what's it called?
Behind the Commitment.
Behind the Commitment and Life After Carolina football. Look, appreciate you guys tuning into the Tar Pit podcast. You know the deal. If you need that game day gear, even for basketball season, you know where to go. Shrunken Head or Shrunken Head Boutique or Tailgate by Shrunken Head, 15% off. Use the code TarPitPod to get 15% off your whole order all year round. You can also do it online. All right, boys, let's get out of here. Until next time, as always, go Heels.
Go Heels.
Go Heels.
Hey Tar Pit crew, thanks for hanging with us today. Quick shout out. Today's episode is powered by Untapped Sports Network. Big thanks to them for the support. If you like this episode, do us a favor. Like it, drop a comment, and share it with a friend. That kind of support goes a long way in keeping the podcast rolling. Make sure you're subscribed and following the Tar Pit podcast on whatever platform you're listening on right now. And don't forget to follow us on social. We're on X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search the Tar Pit podcast and you'll find us. Until next time, go Heels.